Great. Welcome, everybody, to February 15th. We have two things tonight. We have a public hearing on a local law and the town board meeting. So I'll go ahead and open everything with the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, with that, I will now open the public hearing on the Town of Caroline property tax exemption local law that we're proposing. And I'll briefly summarize before opening the public hearing for public comment. We are adding a new exemption granted by the state, the volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers exemption, which allows a 10% reduction of property tax value for qualified volunteers. We are modifying the current senior and disabled citizen exemption, raising that exemption threshold from $28,000 to $35,000. We are adding a capital improvements to residential buildings exemption, a capital improvements for the disabled exemption. We previously had veterans exemptions 458 and 458A. We're adding 458B, which is the exemption for Cold War veterans. And we're adding a living quarters for parent or grandparent exemption, a green building exemption, and a historic barn exemption. So those are all summarized in the local law. And in addition to wanting to put the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers exemption in place for Caroline, which we needed to do by March 1st for it to be effective for a person's 2024 taxes, we wanted to sort of update and cobble together all of the exemptions that the town of Caroline has. So with that, I'm going to be quiet and open the public hearing for any public comment. And Mr. White.
Yeah. Well, there's certainly nothing in there that I find at all objectionable. I especially support the stuff in volunteer firemen. The only question it raises is, you know, I mean, you come up with all these exemptions, and it's kind of a matter of using taxing policy to affect, you know, public policy in a way. And I just wonder sometimes at the end of the day, who is going to be left to pay the taxes? That's my only comment.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Either if you're attending remotely, then raise your Zoom hand. Ms. Nixon.
All I want to say is thank you. Very simply.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments for the town board? Yeah, see anything, Jackie?
No.
Okay. With that, I'm gonna close the public hearing. Thank you for your comments. And I will answer one question that Mr. Hoyt asked. Who did you ask? Who paid?
Well, it was a rhetorical question. At the end, you mean, where I said who does pay the taxes? No, that was just rhetorical.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, okay, the public hearing on the town of Caroline property tax exemptions is now closed. And I will open the business meeting. And
So with that, I will offer a resolution to adopt the town of Caroline property tax exemption local law as presented, and I forwarded everybody Jay Franklin, who he may join us in a bit, and if he does, I will open it up for him to offer any comments he may wish to. But Jay did do impact analysis for us, so it showed what the impact on town taxes for everyone would be with these tax exemptions. So I think I have. Yeah. So, do people have any, open it up for board discussion or?
You need a second.
Pardon me?
Did you need a second?
Oh, you second?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
second by Catherine, thank you. Forgot about that. Yeah, so now I'll open it for discussion.
Just want to say that I had questioned the amount for the senior citizens, and I guess it was my mistake. I've been remembering the amount for the STAR exemption and not this exemption. I just.
Yep.
I'll just say that I think that this is a tremendous improvement. I think first of all, first to offer the exemption for fire and EMS is incredibly important, is unfortunately minimal it actually is. I think that this indicates the town board's commitment also to doing what we can to assist lower income residents, senior citizens. And the new exemptions for business and home improvements is tremendously pro-business, and I think is going to be very helpful. So I'm very much in favor of this.
Any other comments or concerns? I think the senior disability exemption is really good. That's and I felt comfortable. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Jay did an impact analysis, and I thought it was, modest. It wouldn't be a huge burden to the rest of the taxpayers, and the tax exemption for the capital improvements or the green buildings exemptions, those he characterizes having negligible impact. They're infrequent and they don't last long, so they're phased out. The one that a lot of property tax owners or property owners may be able to take advantage of, that they probably don't, is the capital improvements property tax exemption, which is a phase-in of any increase in value over an 8-year period. So it may not seem like that much big a deal, but if you build a new porch or something, it's worth considering. And Jay said that it's underutilized. So I would encourage people to look at that. Couple other things. Property tax exemptions are, you apply for those through the assessment department, and they have them nicely listed on their website. So that's how you do that.
So it's not through the town.
No.
No,
I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
That's correct.
Apply to the town, apply to the assessment office.
And then circling back to the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers. There currently is I think I mentioned this last time, but if I didn't, a $200 tax credit that volunteers get, and that's per member. So And Jay did an impact analysis, given the county has adopted this local law. And now that the town has to do better with the property tax exemption, your house would be have to be worth about $245,000 or more. So in a lot of cases, if you're below that, you probably want to take the property tax exemption, and if you have two members, if both spouses are members, then they each can take the $200 tax credit, so then that's almost certainly better. So what as Jay said, this is what they gave us, and hopefully this will benefit some people, and frankly, I don't know a lot about this, but I think it'd be delightful if the incentives were much more robust, given the value for rural communities who are in a pinch, because providing paid service is untenable. And so volunteers provide this essential service. So I hope this doesn't just, I hope there'll be more movement on this to support volunteer firefighter and ambulance workers, so.
What's the chance Jay will be joining us?
He was dropping his kid at school and his boy, and then he was gonna try to join us, but did you want to hold off until you can join us?
Under application for exemptions, the last, just two sentences. All of said owners shall furnish the required information, execute the forms in a manner required by or prescribed in such forms, and such completed form shall be filed on or before the appropriate taxable status date.
So guess what? Jay is here. Let me let him in.
Perfect timing.
Yes,
Make sure you speak up.
Yeah, that goes for all of us. Speak into the mic.
speak to that, not the TV.
Yeah,
Right.
Hi, Daddy.
and speak with your lungs full.
So he doesn't know we want to talk to him,
Oh, great.
because he just came on, so you have to tell
What's that?
him. Jay doesn't know we want to talk to him. 'cause he
Right,
just came on.
right. So let's see. Hi, Jay.
Hello, sorry about being late.
No problem. Great to have you. We had the public hearing, a couple of comments, and we're now discussing the tax exemption local law that we're proposing. And I kind of summarized in my neophyte way. I ran through them. And just as you were coming on, Cal had a question, so I'm going to let Cal repose his question.
Jay, do the applicants for these exemptions have to file annually? Just once, and then it goes on until whatever? What is the application requirement? I mean, is it like the farmers tax exemption, you have to file it annually by April 1st? Do people have to file annually, every 5 years, or what are those requirements?
Well, it really depends on which exemption it is. For exemptions that are based upon a commitment or an income, you would have to do that each year. But if it's based upon who you are, like the volunteer ambulance worker or the veterans, once you're a veteran, you're always going to be a veteran, so you don't need to reapply. So out of the ones you're considering, the low income, senior, disabled would have to be applied for each year. The parent, grandparent exemption does as well. That just verifies that the parent or grandparent is still living in that unit. And that is it. Everything else is just a one-time application. And we mail out those renewal applications typically the second or third Friday in December. And then we try to prompt people to get their applications in. So any seniors listening to this, make sure you have your senior application in by March 1.
So, yeah, just to reiterate or rephrase it, anybody that has to renew annually is going to get an annual renewal form from you in December.
Correct. The only oddball one is the forestry exemption, but I think they get that directly from the DEC.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That answered my question.
And, yeah. Any other questions for Jay? So I will just, this is sort of related to what Cal said, but the final thing for applications filed on or before the appropriate taxable status date, is that March 1 every year?
Yeah, March 1 is the due date for every exemption except for the renewal ag land exemption. If it's a new ag land exemption and every other one, it's due March 1st. I couldn't tell you why the state wants to make it a little confusing with that. So yes, March 1st is the day to have in your head for an exemption.
Okay, I mean, I was thinking about adding language to the local law that would say typically March 1st. But maybe I should stay away from that. I don't know. So
Yeah, I would leave that because who knows what the state would do with changing taxable status date. They haven't done it in my 27 years, but they have changed our valuation date. So I think in order to stay consistent with the law, it's just easier to say by the applicable, and hopefully us getting those renewal applications out. And as we get closer to the due date, some press releases, and we really try to make sure that people get signed up.
Okay, that sounds smart. Great, thank you.
Yeah, like right now, I'm missing 836 senior exemption applications for the county, which sounds like a lot, but typically we average, I think, 1,036. So we're a little bit ahead schedule. So I try to keep track of those numbers so I don't lose the rest of my hair in my head.
Great. Yeah, I think, thank you for doing the impact analysis for us. And I think we just discussed that a little bit. I think we all felt comfortable with adopting these exemptions, that it doesn't seem too burdensome to the community, to taxpayers. So it seemed like a good balance to us. And, we followed the lead of the county and Enfield on the $35,000 threshold for the low income. So.
And many more have followed suit as well, along with that income. Newfield School, Trumansburg School, unfortunately not Ithaca City School yet, but the Ulysses as well. I think the town of Ithaca is going to be moving to there, in town of Lansing as well, to 35,000.
Okay, very good. And I have another question about the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers. Do you think the school districts are going to adopt that one, or is that going to take lobbying with the school boards, or that's something we kind of hope would happen? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think lobbying is going to need to take place, and I think our Department of Emergency Response is going to be helping out with that at least. I know legislator Shirtlift's going to be talking to Groton School. Newfield School, I believe, is going to consider it next year. The town of Newfield did it this year. Newfield School will do it next year. Newfield did their senior limits this year, and the town will do their senior limits next year. So so obviously with the school district, it would really make it beneficial to the volunteer to take the property tax break as opposed to the income tax credit. Like in Newfield, I've had 3 people apply for this already. And I told one that I'm not going to grant it for him because his $200 tax credit is better than the $130 that he would get off his property tax bill. So
That's great.
I'll try to do that calculation. I can't promise. Once we get into if a school does it and which year to grant it in, it gets a little complicated, but we'll try to look out for people.
Wow, that's great. So you would typically kind of watch that when a volunteer submits their application?
Yes, it's so complicated, and especially how and when it was passed. I don't want to provide tax relief to a volunteer, but actually end up costing them money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
Jay, I want to say thank you for the last newsletter you sent out from the assessment department. It was crystal clear.
Thank you, Cal. We're trying to be a little more vocal about taxes here, so I can't help with taxes. Can't do it.
Yep. But you can get assessments right.
Yeah, hopefully. And if we're wrong, have people come and talk to us. We're not set in stone with 36,000 parcels. We're going to be wrong on some of these, I guarantee you. But we need the public now to come on in, talk to us, give us some information so that we can look at it again.
Yep,
Great, thank you.
that's part of your job.
Yep.
Thank you for doing it so well.
Oh, thank you.
You guys do, you do a great job.
I wouldn't, I really enjoyed doing the job under the circumstances that we have with our structure and the people I work with and all of you. I don't want to minimize the support that we get from all of the town boards and the county legislature.
Jay, I have a question. This is Tim Murray. I'm wondering, and I really don't know anything about this, but I understand the need to lobby, the value of lobbying the school districts for the fire and EMS property tax exemption.
Mhm.
Would there be any value after this cycle of lobbying is over for all of us, maybe TCOG, to get together and put together a lobbying pressure on Albany to improve these conditions?
In terms of, what do you mean?
In terms
conditions?
of, well, in terms of perhaps raising the threshold for the exemption. And also the quirky thing that we discussed in TCOG, where you have to be a volunteer in the same town as you live. So I'm just wondering if you've heard about this, that would make sense on the county level for us in the town of Caroline to join together with other members in TCOG to maybe articulate a better plan to present to Albany.
I can reach out to the NISAC Association of Counties and see what they think. The one thing that this exemption statute did was combined about, I think, 20 to 30 very similar statutes, but with a little bit different criteria and exemptions amounts. So this was an attempt to standardize it. I think we can try to improve it. But I don't know how much headway that's going to make. But Albany may be changing. You know, it was always difficult to get an exemption passed through Albany that would apply to all of New York State. You always had to do a single parcel, single municipality kind of single parcel exemption or single criteria or municipality exemption. So maybe we can try to tweak it, but I'll reach out to NISAC and see what they think, and I'll bring it to TCOG as well.
Great, thanks so much.
Yeah, great, okay. Anything else for Jay? Great, thanks for joining us tonight, Jay. Really appreciate that. So,
No. Do you need me anymore, or are you good to pass these?
yeah,
Enjoy your night.
yeah, enjoy your night. I think we're going to call a vote on the local law now, and so yeah, I think our discussion is finished. So
Great. All right.
Great.
If you need anything or have any questions, or if any of your constituents have any questions, feel free to send them down to us.
okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Thanks, Jay.
Take care. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay, take care. All right, so we have the resolution on the table, and we got a healthy discussion about, any other questions or concerns? Can I call a vote? Yep. So all in favor, oh, I have one amendment, wording amendment to the law that let's see, section 2, savings, authority and purposes. I would like to add in, I have a list of the exemptions, and it doesn't include the veterans exemptions. So I'd like to add that in with those, with the 3 articles that apply to that. So that's all, just a wording thing. It doesn't change the local law at all. So with that amendment, I will offer as a friendly amendment, I will call a vote on adopting this local law. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. That's great, unanimous. All right, so now I will offer resolution to contract with Global LED Solutions for LED conversion of the fire station lights. I guess, do I have a second for that? Seconded by Tim, and I'll invite Mark French, who's been helping with us with that, to join us. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Great. Thanks for waiting to join us. And so I have shared the information on the proposal that you all provided us for Slaterville's, for the Slaterville Fire Hall and the Brookendale Fire Hall. So the cost of installation or conversion of LEDs in Slaterville would be $5,647.65. That's after rebates and everything, and then Brookendale would be $8,180. So yeah, I guess first of all, do you have anything you want to add to that, Mark, or explain about the process?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I guess a brief summary of the process itself. The fixtures that we did look at overall, the fixtures looked good, so we certainly didn't propose to put in any new fixtures or anything. We went with the most economical version, which is simply called the retrofit. And all that is leaving the fixtures there, bypassing the ballast so that you no longer have to burn a ballast, as that burns energy as well, and then direct wiring the LED tubes in there. And I think it's important, obviously mentioned the ROI looks pretty good on both. I believe it's 3.68 years for Brookendale Fire Department. It's a little bit longer on that one, being that the lights, when we were there, the gentleman had said we're burning only about 20 hours a week or so. And then the ROI on Slaterville is close to 2.86 years. And I guess just as an overall, between both projects itself, like you said, they combined for a total of $13,827, but will save annually a combined $4,194, with the life expectancy of those bulbs being 40 years rather for Slaterville. And then I believe we're closer to almost 60 years or so on Brookendale, if I have that correct off memory. Yeah, so 59 years on Brookendale. And then it's going to have an expected lifetime savings between the two projects of $210,000 over the course of the lifetime of those bulbs.
Great.
In 2023.
So, yep. So the ROI is a return on investment. So, you know, within 3 or 4 years, the project will have paid for itself just by energy savings. So,
Mark, I have a couple questions for you.
Absolutely.
What will the lumens be, and what's the color rendition compared to what's there?
That's a great question. So it's going to receive about 4,000 lumens on the ground itself. Now the color will kind of vary based off of the location. For all of the offices and, like, for example, the rec halls in both locations, we are going to go with a 4K, which is your typical indoor lighting. And then what we did in both of the truck bays, as well as the exterior, is a 5K. Typically, that's what we suggest for any warehouse or anywhere that's getting maintenance done on vehicles and things like that, where it needs to be a little bit brighter. So 5K in the truck bay and the exterior, which I believe there's only 4 exterior bulbs between the two projects. 3 wall mounts on the doors at Brooktondale, and then the 1 barn light out in the front of Slaterville Fire Department.
Okay, and the lumens on the ground will be about the same as it is now.
It should be better, in fact. Should be about 30 to 45% better.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
What about speeds, Bill?
They already have it.
Oh, good, thank you.
Any other good question? Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? Really helpful, Mark, getting the energy savings and payback time was pretty compelling.
So you're gonna leave the existing ballast in there, and then you'll just bypass that and just leave it.
Yep, so great question. So what it'll do is it'll be clipped and abandoned within the fixture itself, and it'll be capped off there, so it'll never need to be burned again. But yeah, we certainly don't remove it out or anything. It just stays abandoned in there for the lifetime of the fixture.
Okay,
Any other thoughts or concerns?
It's good to me.
Non-controversial,
Yeah.
easy
Okay.
item.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Mark. Very helpful.
I don't know, I don't like the color edition.
Great. So
I think we got too many lumens. We have to get lumens back.
if there, are you all ready to vote on this?
Yes, please.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great. Okay, the resolution is adopted. Thanks, Mark, and I'll just add the only other, I don't anticipate any issue with this, but I will run this by NYSERDA for approval, and then we should be good to go. But I think that's
That's a no-brainer.
a no-brainer. Yeah, so
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
When do you think?
thanks so much for joining us. Yeah. Cal,
What's
has a
that?
question?
When do you think you get to the work?
So usually from the day of you guys signing the proposal, sending it over, we're usually looking at about 4 to 6 weeks out. It's just a process of us coming to do a double count. I bring the electrician out there to make sure that everything's within the scope of work, make sure there's nothing that we possibly missed. And from there, it's just filling out the applications with the utility. But as an average timeline, 4 to 6 weeks.
And how big a job is it? 1 day, 2 days?
I'd say between the two, it's really at max 3 days. I don't think it's even probably that, but
But no more than 3 days.
correct. On average, what they'll do is usually be able to install about 140 bulbs per day, and then 25 exterior fixtures. But there's only 4 between the two properties. So yeah, I mean, switching out the bulbs is a pretty easy process. And outside of the truck bays, it's all just simply ladder work. So it's not anything that requires any extreme effort.
Thank you.
So,
Great. Thanks again, Mark.
all right, guys. Thank you. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. All right, let me look at the agenda here. So I will move on to my supervisor's report.
Want to do the other resolution, Mark?
Oh,
We have a lot of other ones.
oh,
I'll do
yeah,
it later.
yeah.
I'll do it later. Yeah,
So-
sorry, I just thought I was
Yeah.
on the wrong page.
I inserted those two
Right, okay.
work items early
Yeah.
because we had visitors coming, so.
Sorry, I was following the resolution.
So I'll move on to the supervisor's report, and so I'll point out, I sent you an email today, Tompkins County Planning for Sustainability is offering grants workshops, and the second one is tomorrow from 4 to 6, so I'm gonna join that. It look like some interesting topics if anybody wants to join, and they're eager to have people join, so Darby Kiley will be doing that. The 2 public hearings, maybe I'm stealing your thunder there, Tim, but 2 public hearings on the zoning commission's preliminary report have been scheduled. One on the 22nd and one on the 28th of this month. Both start at 6 p.m. The first one is here. The second one is at the Brookendale Fire Station. Written comments are encouraged. Notices have been sent to neighboring municipalities. We've scheduled the interviews for the firm to help us with the highway project late in the month, so looking forward to that. TCOG Emergency Services Planning, we are interviewing for that position actively right now, and so I should have news soon on that. The steering committee on as part of that, we're working on the county code enforcement study with LaBerge engineers. So we met on the 7th, reviewed responses and planned for in-person meetings of chief elected officials and code officers and planners coming up early in March to discuss the issues that present, especially and from my perspective for small towns, how to provide reliable, consistent code service for the public. So that's ongoing, and I think will lead to lots of good discussions.
So the idea is to provide it through a county office to,
No, back up, stop.
no, that's why. I'm
Good.
asking.
Yeah, that's a good,
That's the way
so the
I-
idea is to, that's one idea. So but the idea is to come up with any and all solutions from small to big that we may want to consider for code enforcement. So at one end of the continuum, it could be a county run system with branch offices or something like that. At the other end of the continuum, it could be, well, most code offices need help with this. Maybe there's a specialized person that could do that countywide or something like that. So, but I'm intentionally trying not to say what it would be, because that should come out of the discussions
Yeah.
with code officers, with other elected officials that have different issues, and see what's the common threads are and what the consensus is. So, yeah, that's a good question.
Thank you for backing up my lead.
Say what?
Thank you for backing up my lead.
Yeah, yeah,
Can't
You're-
believe that.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
so it's. So I put energy independent Caroline in here again. This is the same note I put. So I did that intentionally. I didn't just put that in there because it was in the last report, but they're still working on the CCA local law, and I put all the descriptive stuff in there so that people understand what a CCA local law would commit us to, not commit us to, and why we're doing it. So hopefully it can get us lower priced energy, the kind of energy we want for the town to help our residents. And so Watershed Committee, we met and discussed this white paper on salt use by homeowners and municipalities, and impacts on the environment and ways to reduce salt use. So the committee wanted to see if we could get feedback from Bob about what the town does. I know that they do some things that reduce salt use, so we're interested in finding out about that. And this is the time of the year, especially now when it's 60 degrees in the day, that we start thinking about salamanders and spring cleanup. So we're going to be working on that. The salamanders will come with the first warm spring rains that are persistent. So that's when we're going
Like
to,
tomorrow.
Yeah, this is gonna be.
but yeah, I don't know.
It's a
It may-
problem for.
Yeah, so
for
it could happen. So, and then the cleanup is going to cleanup week for the highway department. Tentatively, I'll say, will be the last week of April. And so I'm thinking that the roadside and ditch cleanup day, well, we've kind of evolved to making it a week-long process, but Earth Day is the Saturday before the 22nd. So I think that might be a good day to have the community-wide cleanup day. So that's tentatively what we're looking at. And then Equus Road, still working on that. We have DC's permitted it. So we need to get the final we considered a plan before and put bids on it, we need to re-up that, so. Need to get that moving, so we're working to get that going. So that's my report. Any other questions? Okay, I'll be quiet. Then, let's see. So, town clerk.
I just briefly wanted to mention. Of course, tax collection will continue through March. I did get some feedback from residents that were concerned about some language I had added on the bill to encourage people to pay online or by mail. And it was simply done to try to deter 2,000 people from coming through the town hall in the month of January. It was just a encouragement, not a requirement. So anyway,
And a reasonable one.
yeah, there's quite a hefty fee for paying online.
Yeah.
So people were, just asking more people than I expected. Was the only reason why I'm mentioning it.
Are you saying that a lot of people did pay online then, or?
No,
Well, I'll
question.
tell you how many payments I got on. But just people that came in asked, the fee is rather high to pay online, why
Why are you?
are you
encouraging-
putting on the bill to encourage us to pay? So,
Well, they could send a check in for.
right, well, I said if I just said by
By
mail
mail.
or online, then maybe it wouldn't have gotten brought up, but that was the only reason why that was on there, lesson learned.
Well, the cost for a bank transfer is less than a credit card cost, right?
I don't know, the fee from the credit card, that does not come to
No,
us,
no,
to the
no,
town.
us.
A lot of people thought it.
No, it doesn't. There is there's an online fee, but no, thanks for bringing this up.
Yeah. So, in that being said, during January, I collected just under $2.5 million. 101 bills were paid online. 203 people paid in person, and the rest were by mail.
That's a lot. A third. Wow.
84% to date I've collected for. I've met my warrant with the town, those funds have been turned over to Mark, and now it's just payments to the county, turn over to county, and it's quiet.
Nice job.
It's so,
Way to go.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions there?
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah.
Any committee updates or?
Since you scooped the zoning commission, I'll just add that one of the. It looks to me like the very earliest, if the zoning commission were to agree to forward us a recommended law. It looks like the earliest that we would get that would be February, right? The March business meeting. That would be the earliest, I would think. One of the things that we've discussed together, and I think that we're all in agreement that we should do this, is we would like to ask Ag and Markets to review the zoning draft to see if they had any recommendations. I would like to propose that we get that process moving now, because there's, I think, a significant backlog at Ag and Markets. So this just requires, I was just asking Nan about it this afternoon, and it basically just requires that we submit a form at this stage. So I'd recommend, I don't think we need a resolution or anything, but just procedurally, I'd recommend that we do that now, just to get that in process.
So we put the form in and then they access
We put the form in and then we're on the queue. I don't know, I haven't looked into this, so I don't know exactly all the procedures.
Okay.
But I'm just recommending that we get the form in.
So that makes sense, because if there's a long queue,
Well, we already know there's a long queue. I
Right,
mean, like, I
there's a
think
long
it's established. just to
And
be
then
clear.
what they would get is whatever we have at that time.
Right.
Yeah, but by the time, I mean, just to be very clear with the public, that this
Yeah.
is not any sort of move to push this forward or,
No.
you know, this is like, we know that ag and markets can, like, even if we gave them a thing right now, it would be a while, and we know that.
Mhm.
So I'm just in total support of this, that this is like not,
Jumping ahead.
we are not jumping ahead.
Not
It's just like very clear that like, this is a thing that needs to happen, and we
Yeah.
already know from, I
Good.
didn't mean to interrupt,
No,
but we
no.
know from ag and markets that, I mean, I'm worried that they won't even be able, I mean, I don't know what their timeline is.
Yeah.
So it is,
Yeah, Jeff said to me
problem.
that they're really understaffed, like
Yeah.
everybody else I call.
And just so everyone realizes, we're not required to do this.
right,
This is something that we want to do, and it's in keeping also with the work on the ag
yeah,
committee.
the ag committee has
So
requested it.
So basically,
Okay.
what we want to hear from ag and markets, if there were things that they would recommend to avoid in whatever draft they see regarding being detrimental to farmland.
Right.
And so but I think it's a really important step that we should take.
So
So I'd like to get that moving, immediately.
does anyone else have, I agree with that, especially after the
Full support.
explanation.
Yeah, no, we need to do that.
I think we should do it. Yeah.
Great, okay.
Agree.
Okay. So it shall be done.
Should I follow up with the ag committee report then?
Great.
on this? Just
Sure.
leave it at it.
Go for it.
So, moving forward with the farmland, ag and farmland protection plan, George France came to hit the meeting on February 7th and, presented again, like what his role would be in terms of reviewing the local laws and surveying by windshield and other means, like what is the state of ag. He again voiced like support for Nan's involvement, and he really stated that he did not foresee any concern given her expertise with ag. The first event for the process is going to be on April 6th, which is to be determined exactly its format, but it's like the first ag outreach event in order to mostly survey people and solicit like their current uses and feelings about ag in the town, but also open to anyone who wants to join and learn. And so we have at the last meeting essentially tested the first survey that will be one of the activities at this event to solicit input. And so it was kind of taken through a test run, and Monica and Erica and Graham and George are kind of the, official team. They are doing like an unbelievable job of all the things to get this rolling. So we will have I think we put an announcement in the newsletter, right, which is out for print, but we haven't received it yet in the mail, right? So you'll see the announcement of that event in the quarterly. I think that's it. Questions?
Catherine, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
In terms of distributing the survey, is that something that we do, or does the county do? How does that work? So
The
we do it all-
survey is distributed by the
By the committee. Okay.
basically.
Yeah, I just didn't know. I thought
Yeah.
because of the grant, I didn't know how that.
No, yeah, and the survey is individual to each municipality, like, so we're just, choosing to do this as a means of
Right.
collecting information, and then the idea is to make it very specific to Caroline, which is why we all kind of, took it and identified a couple of things that were like, oh, if you sell eggs, like it wasn't a particular item on the list, and so we need to add that or something like that. So it's very local. Yeah, very, very local.
That's good.
Yeah, and trying to capture also in the spirit of the comprehensive plan, the uniqueness of ag in Caroline, because it is certainly not, traditional ag in a lot of ways, but it is also very robust, and so we have an abundance of ag enterprises, but we just need to capture all of them
That's great.
and figure out like what that really looks like and, you know, what's a homesteader versus a hobby farmer versus a small scale versus a whatever scale. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily match the New York State definitions of farming. And so we need to be like, nimble about that. Yeah.
And I think you said that the survey is gonna be like, it's an online form that people can do, or it can be a paper form too.
The proposal now is it will be both, yeah, an online format as well as distributed at this event in a paper format. And possibly other formats, I guess. I mean, obviously written or online, but different times and spaces in which to fill it out. And I'll defer to Erica and Monica on that, but is there anything in addition, Cal, for that you are?
No,
No, okay.
no, sorry.
No, just,
Tim, this is kind of a little ratchet back though, because to me forestry is still ag but the
Yep.
forestry overlay was eliminated from the zoning draft. And could I get, could you send me something about why that was eliminated? So I could just kind of look. I don't know, I just kind of, you know, in my head, I'm visiting, you know, why that was eliminated and.
Well, I mean, I can just summarize that the members of the zoning commission decided to take that off the table because they were concerned that it was too pervasive and too invasive, too invasive.
restrictive, residents felt it was very
And
restrictive.
so,
Okay,
they didn't see the need to do that. And one of the other reasons that actually another important reason that they did it is the vast majority of the woodlands that we have in the town are state or
State
county
land.
woodlands. And so we really have, when push comes to shove, we have very little woodlands percentage wise that are on private property in the town.
How many woodlots are there? I mean,
I can't tell you. But, you know, we have massive,
Okay.
we have significant state forest land. And, you know, 2 years ago, we were talking in detail about the county forest land that we have. So that was, you know, I'm trying to replay the conversations back because that was a long time ago. But
Yeah,
that was the primary motivator. So then the you know, the concern, the original concern, the reason, the way that this all went is, you know, the zoning commission was provided at its request with templates so that they could begin to see what various options could look like. And this was a template that almost immediately
okay.
became clear that that was unnecessary.
Kate, there's about 7,000 acres of woodland, state woodland in the township.
okay, but then I'm just wondering about the local woodlots, like, I can think of a couple near my house, yeah, but I just don't know how widespread it is, I was just wondering.
Yeah,
What do you do?
There's, you know, woods, there's growth, stuff that's got trees on it, and then there's, you know, what's a woodlot too.
Well, you harvest the wood, you
Yeah, but,
know, try to get
Yeah.
the light into the trees over straight.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good luck to me, so.
But going back to what you're saying, Catherine, the ag committee does consider forestry agriculture.
Sure, oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, sure, definitely.
For sure, yeah,
And that's right, but you know,
Yep.
just how the whole thing ties together or not
Yeah,
together,
yeah.
and I'm just trying to. Yeah, just, you know, back and forth. Because, well, anyway,
Yeah, thanks. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I just remember that was
the
eliminated.
complexity of that evaded my mind for a second.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know how involved it was, it was something that, you know,
You said 7,000 acres for state forest?
yes.
Well, there was a significant discussion, my recollection though, that it didn't end up taking that long for a decision to be made to take it off the table.
No, it was the first thing, I mean, my recollection was like the first thing to go, it was very clear, and it was one of the more responsive moments in my memory of like a particular person spoke out at a meeting
Yeah.
stating that this would really have an impact on them, and that night, the zoning commission
Yeah.
said it's done, so
Yeah.
you know, yeah, that's my memory, that it was
Yeah,
very,
Good, I'm glad somebody had, because I had,
yeah.
off the top of my head, the town of Carolina is about 25,000 acres.
Mhm.
So
Okay,
state land is about a quarter, a little over a quarter of the land.
The county forest isn't that big. I'm trying to remember, isn't it
100
like
acres,
1,000 acres or something? 100.
okay.
it's up on Level Green Road.
Yeah.
I mean, the point was like in the spirit of like a tool trying to actually have an impact, given that all the majority of the forested land is not under our jurisdiction anyway, like wouldn't have had a substantive enough impact worth the restriction that it would be on private landowners.
Thank you.
Very well said.
Great, thank you. Any other committee reports?
Well, the Safe Streets for all municipalities, so there's 10 municipalities in the county that are receiving money from that. We're still trying to get a date when all of us can get together to start the implementation of hiring a planner and getting the plans rolling and done. So that's, I'm waiting on that. Yeah, so that's,
So you're gonna be, that first step is to hire a planner.
yeah, that's my guess. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not gonna be one planner, it's gonna be a planning firm, because all the municipalities are
Okay.
gonna have their own plan created, so.
Great.
That's my understanding right now, so keep you updated. The only thing new, I mean, broadband, there's a meeting on Friday, I'm going with the Dryden, you know, that's trundling along, right? So,
When do we get is that money dispersed to us in advance, or how does that work?
What's the question?
Is that money dispersed to us in advance, or how's it working?
the 133,000
Yeah.
from, yeah. That's the money from the county,
Right.
you're waiting on,
I'm just administering the contract.
right, you're
So
administrating
waiting
the
on
contact, we're
Nightmare
waiting
to
on, yeah,
Through the insurance.
so. We'll be getting it, we're just doing the paperwork and we'll be getting it, but Hunt's. the
My
Hunt's
guess is
contract-
that's true. That's what.
Yeah,
will
but the
happen.
Hunt's contract should be going through, right,
Yeah.
for the feasibility study. And hopefully they will get on it soon,
Right,
so, yeah,
Can I go back to dates for a second?
sure.
So March 1st is a Wednesday, right? So that's our first meeting. And then we're talking about relative to receipt of the zoning document, we're talking March 15.
If that,
at the earliest.
The Ides of March.
that would be the
Ides-
early.
The Ides of March.
That would be the early.
That would be the earliest, okay. And then, is it, I mean, I guess I'll put a pin in this for maybe agenda for next time, but like, at what point, I would suggest that we start planning our public hearing as like soon as,
Well, I mean,
you know, or whatever.
I think what we'll need to do is to plan our approach for reviewing the document. I guess I wouldn't recommend at this stage planning a public hearing yet, because we don't.
Or
know.
meetings, I'm just saying, like, we're looking at calendar, if we could do it as far in advance as possible. That's, I'm just.
But I think just
Yeah.
right now, it's still a little bit nebulous in terms of,
Right.
hey, we don't even know
Yeah.
when we get the document, and what we'll need to do as a
Mhm.
group is decide the best way for us to review it procedurally.
Yeah, we may want to have working meetings.
Well, I think we'll need to
Well, that's what I'm
have, I
asking
think we'll
now.
need to have a working meeting, you know, a couple, we don't know,
Yeah.
we'll need to have a working
to
meeting.
discuss
No, I
sections
agree.
of it.
Because we're not gonna be able to fit it into a town board meeting, so probably, I don't know, we'll have to figure it out, but maybe. Saturday sessions or not extra nights, something like that, but I'm sure that will be required for us to do, so that we'll
Yeah.
have time as a
Yeah.
group to go.
Yeah, actually, I
What we need
think,
to do.
if people were agreeable, you know, weekend work sessions would be great for people who have bandwidth, and it wouldn't be in the evening after work and stuff. So,
Okay, I get, yeah, that's, I'm just
And-
getting it, like, I'm worried about the calendar.
You're right, Catherine, that is something, it's just hard because we don't know when we're gonna get it.
I know.
But that is something that would be helpful for us to try to plan for as soon as possible, since like for some of us, spring travel.
But we
business
can't
travel
do this
picks
in
up.
regular board meetings, I
No.
guess, I'm just saying, okay. All right, well, we're in
Not
agreement,
efficiently, yeah,
okay.
but I'm glad you brought this up, just because now's really the right time for us to start percolating about.
Yeah,
that.
okay,
It'd be great to have, you know, I think like, I don't know when we want to do it, maybe after we have formed questions or whatever, but you know, to have Nan there to
Yeah,
bounce stuff off.
I think we
of.
definitely want Nan's help.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would encourage us all to do
I know
is
it
we
is.
now have enough of it, we have a document that's not likely to change that much. I mean, there could well be some changes, there probably will be some changes after the public hearings, but I'd be surprised if there were dramatic changes, and I mean, so I would encourage us all now individually to start really working through the document, and then we'll be prepared. Once we get it, we'll be able to do a
Yeah,
assessment amongst ourselves about what kind of work we think we need to do.
does everybody agree with that? I agree.
Yes.
Are you
Okay.
joking? Okay.
I'm sure we-
Like, I have read every word already.
No, I think that's a good thought. We should be scrutinizing it.
Can we talk about the town hall?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, I just.
What's that, Cal?
Can we talk about the town hall?
Yeah.
Let's do that now. Let's move that forward and talk about that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, before those up here.
Yeah, hi Susan, welcome.
Hi,
Great.
introduce myself. I'm Susan Holland from Historic Ithaca. And I have been in that job for about 5.5 years, but I'm also a citizen of town of Caroline. So I live in Caroline Center. We bought the old property. I guess it was the Horseshoe Pit, where the Horseshoe Pit was from the 76 Club, the old 76 Club. So yeah, that property there. So I've been here about 2.5 years. So, but my.
We had a horseshoe pit in our backyard when we bought our house.
Oh, you did too?
Decades ago.
You'll love that. Yeah. So thanks for having me. I actually work in historic preservation. That's what we do. I don't know if you're all familiar with Historic Ithaca. We've been around since 1966. Not me, I would have been 3, but anyway. So and we do a lot of stuff with different communities. We're really the I guess the overall preservation organization in Tompkins County, not to be confused with the History Center. So we work with them. They're like our first cousins, but so we have been in and out of town hall with Cal and Mark, and an architect that you hired, Steve Gibeon, who was our suggestion to his local and lives not far away. So I had recommended, I know y'all wanted to do some changes, not changes, I should say restoration work, repair work on the building. Well, buildings always need work, I'm sure you all. So the building itself, if you don't know, is on the National Register for Historic Places. And I was just going to talk to you. I'm sorry I'm not terribly prepared today. It's been a terribly busy week, including trying to save a house from and with the county legislature tomorrow morning. So
Please do.
yeah, and I have to get to see Chainworks today too. Another new Southworks thing. So sort of busy day. So I'm not prepared with anything written, and I apologize for that. Usually
That's totally.
show up. Yeah. So I had recommended to Mark and I think Cal a while ago about thinking about some funding for the building. And there's a great source of funding with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation. And excuse me if you already know some of this stuff.
You can say it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's called Environmental Protection Fund. You also compete with parks and things like that, but we had helped the city of Ithaca to do the exterior of the boathouse, the Cascadola Boathouse. And I think we won the money in December of 2018. And yeah, we did. It's except for that one little part of the paint job, but but it got reshingled. It had a lot of work. We did some ADA compliant work there too. Had a wonderful team, a really wonderful team that we worked with. And we were the administrator of that project. We wrote the grant for them and got the administration. And then in general, the way that we worked the project is we had we as Historic Ithaca and the city had a memorandum of agreement, excuse me, done by the lawyers, of course, that we got some money out of it and the city got most of the money. It was a large grant of $367,000. And then they had to do a cash match. So it's normally a 75-25. So 75 to the grant, 25 to the whoever is doing the project, basically. I'm waiting to find out if it's a 75-25 or a 50-50. But what it does is it extends your money, your capital program money very long. You know, the city of Ithaca's project was $575,000, and they had the cash match already sitting there. They had had it for a couple of years. And it pays for, pre-development, which is your architectural engineering. You probably have to do some ground archaeology, and all this can be put into the grant when you're applying for it. And then administration, which would be a grant administrator, and construction costs. So I've done, I don't know, it'd be my third, fourth, they're probably my third that I've done over time. And we were asked if we consider, if I would consider as a consultant, but I will be honest, my personal life, I work a lot, but our organization could entertain being the applicant for you and work with you so that we could do the administration with the regional, the regional office in Albany. I am from Albany, by the way, and friendly with some of the commissioners. So, but the grant just extends your cash, and we already have a list of priorities from Steve Givian, which is fantastic. So it would be, how far down that list you want to go, coordinate that, and get some prices together before the grant. The grant's generally open in May, about May. It's the Regional Economic Development Council money, CFA. We all used to say that was like a swear word. And they're not easy grants to do, I'll tell you. And they're due usually at the end, around the end of July. And it did not change with Governor Hochul, so we're just anticipating those coming out soon. Actually, they're making the announcements right now for the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. They made a bunch today, I guess, from L6. Perry Homer got money. So I think the next step forward for, if you are thinking about it or entertaining it, I would give you a proposal for us. We would like to be paid a little bit for the organization itself, but I mean, it can't come out of the grant until the end, but everything would be, the board giving you something, you decide what you want to do. We're not expensive, I can tell you that. And you could also, you could also go out and get a private grant writer too. Somebody like Stacy Murphy, who's phenomenal. And I don't think she does grant administration though, because then we would double in to do the grant administration. I'm not sure though, I don't know. I saw her in Wegmans the other day, but she's actually has so many in this community under her belt, everything from very small organizations to very large projects. I know she does a lot for the State Theater. So, yeah. So just wanted to throw
I think it's so great that you're willing to partner with us.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you to bring your knowledge and your expertise
Thank you.
and organization to
Yeah.
partner with us.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
Oh, thanks. It's a great building, by the way. I forgot to compliment you all on keeping it up and having an amazing building that it's kind of a win-win, and you just hope that you get it. If you don't, then you would have to make decisions about going forward later. So.
Yeah. Okay.
You wanna do.
Wow.
But even if we don't get it, it'll be written, so we can apply to something else
Yes,
later.
yeah.
More easily.
Yes,
So
yeah,
that's a limited thing.
Yes,
So-
yes. And you do have a comp plan, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Duh. Oh, yeah, that's right. I am following along a little bit. Trying to stay out of the fray.
Yep, recently updated. And yes, this is great. I think
Good for you.
I think
Yes.
we're pretty interested in getting a proposal, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the timeline, like what, I don't think you're gonna get any arguments from anyone up here.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I'll come back in March, I guess, for your business meeting. Great.
Yeah, March 1 is you can come to that one, actually,
Okay.
if that works for you.
That should be good. Yeah.
Or do you need like a resolution from us asking?
That's what I was wondering. Do you want a resolution now or?
No, you'll need one, but you will need one when you go to apply for the money.
Right.
Yeah,
You
but
will.
even just so we know, next,
What we're agreeing to.
yeah.
Oh, if you want to do that for yourselves, that's fine, but I can show up with a written document for you.
Yeah, let's wait on that. I don't think
Okay.
there's any.
Yeah.
So we meet on the first and the third Wednesdays, just to let you know.
Oh, okay.
Right, we meet every 2 weeks,
Right.
so.
So first and the 15th.
Or something
Oh,
like
yeah. it'll be
this.
the same one.
So exciting,
Yeah.
I'll call a
I
meeting
just said that
anytime you
I
want.
think Deja
I'm
vu.
just getting the calendar.
I just write this. So I felt bad that when I talked to Cal, I was like, and I meant to call you back and I apologize for not
It's okay.
getting
Yeah.
in touch with you. So
We had a great talk last time, so
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Susan, you mentioned a memorandum of understanding. Is that something that we take care of, or is that something that?
I have a formulaic one that we used with the city of Ithaca that worked pretty well, and then on the grant itself, they would require that, because we're not the owners of the building, but we have an understanding that we would be, you know, the administrator of the grant and working with you. And I can show you that document, it's public, actually.
Some of this is just pro forma, really.
Yeah,
I just want to know who's gonna handle
yeah,
what, if you're gonna do.
Susan's got it.
Yeah,
yeah, I can give you that when I come, I can show you what it looks like. You wouldn't sign it then, and I would need what they call an authorizing resolution. Prior to submitting the grant, it's part of the grant application.
yeah.
Yeah, have anybody here done one of those before? Is it
Not
fun to see
these,
it then?
not these, no.
You have some here, right?
Somewhat.
Some, you have CFA done for you, yes?
We have submitted some CFA funding applications, so.
Yeah, it's just state funding. They just grouped, a lot of years ago, they grouped every possible scenario that you could group together. They put arts in, then they took arts out, you know, as Governor Cuomo wanting to kind of get a handle on all the money. It's again, in place of, a lot of times, you know, what we used to call pork barrel, they took away a lot of that opportunity for groups. So made it a little bit more competitive and fair. So,
Good.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah.
I'm excited for this building. And I should also mention too, we are trying to do a town hall walk and talk, which I think I told you, we have a thing that we used to do with the historical commission. We try to get county money, a little bit of it. It's a free tour that we do different communities, you know, once a week in the summer. Carol came in, our county historian who's about to retire, likes this program, and so we go to different communities. I would be helping, I'm gonna talk to Shuey next week. And then
Okay.
Cohen as well.
So you're, you and Julie are working on it, right?
Yeah, yep, we are working on it,
Awesome.
and Barbara
That's
knows
great.
about it, yes.
Are you familiar with the funding opportunities of Humanities New York, which is this SNP? Because I think that that would be a really
Yeah,
good approach to make for this.
oh, good, okay, yeah, I'll think about that, because we actually, we have done that too in our organization, so.
I'd be happy to talk to you.
Okay,
Happen to be the chair of the board of directors.
oh, okay.
But I'd be happy to talk to you about the various opportunities because
Okay,
it sounds to me, it's just, there are a lot of small granting streams that we give that something like this
oh, excellent.
might be appropriate for.
I think you're reachable through the internet, correct? Yeah, great. Website, good.
Could we get somebody to do a big mural on the front?
Oh, no, please.
Ah,
Sorry. You said the bad word to me, just kidding. No.
There you go.
I don't actually think the state would like.
Historic. It would be-
They would be like, and actually it comes with a lot of free technical services from the state, you know, how you. do
This would make Molly Adams so happy.
Yeah.
She's smiling right now.
Yeah, I know. I never got a chance to meet her and I'm sad. I know, I feel like
She
around.
fought for this building.
Yeah. Oh, she did?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's the one that got it registered.
Yeah.
Oh.
she did.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it's in
Fought
my,
my windows, she fought, yeah, she was,
oh, that's a good part of the story too, to tell the state. That's awesome. Great.
So I have a question about, like, we are gonna, in the next few minutes, chat through kind of Steve's laundry list.
Okay.
And from the historic preservation side, it seems like you would be able to offer a lot of guidance on decisions we have to make, like the big one, siding, painting, you know,
Yeah.
what we're gonna do with that.
Yeah.
gutters.
I'm all in on, you know,
Yeah.
making the historians as happy as possible.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, what generally happens is, depending on your rules, depending on the state's rules. Part of the contract itself with the state, with the, you know, with the money, the funding that comes in. Is you would have a pre-development services, so you would have an architect or designer. Or I would suggest a preservation architect, they have the highest level of knowledge about particular building, but you can go out and do a request for proposal to get those folks in the, you know, to have them bid. I have a very long laundry list of
Okay.
those folks, and also, with the state, you should also look at, the end of MWBE requirements, it's pretty high, it's 30% for projects like this.
Hmm.
So on the grant, just on the grant part itself, so, when you get the architects, they really provide all of that information. They're generally making anywhere from 10 to 15% of the construction costs. So they're really, I mean, we provide some of that knowledge, but I am not an architect.
Okay.
So I know kind
I
of, you know,
It comes down the line
right,
with the,
right, it comes with the grant, and then you really know, I mean, I have one I think we should work with, but I don't know. And
okay,
then Steve said he would also be, if he was under that grant too, as like boots on the ground to
Right.
like be the local person to work here.
uh-huh,
Because he claims he's not a preservation architect, even though he's on the,
but
yeah,
he's like, okay,
I think so.
okay,
I've seen him in action many evenings on the ILPC and the Ithaca Landmarks Preservation Commission, which he's a member, but, you know,
Okay.
and then, but,
well, this is really helpful because this makes me think we don't have to agonize some of these decisions at this point.
Correct.
So,
That's
I mean, that's a huge relief to me because I was thinking we have to, so,
right, and
That's great.
all plans and specs have to go to the state when you're taking this money.
okay,
And basically, and you can't sell the building either, that's what, I mean, you got a 20-year, I think it's a 20-year easement on it, preservation easement or deed restriction, I think they call it, so you couldn't. Well, you could take their money, but then there's a whole process you have to do to unleash
be a
that
pain,
beast,
yeah.
yeah, so
I don't see that in the cards, so.
No, I know, that's what, that was a Cascadilla Boat Club of like boathouse, I'm like, how many times do we have to prove this, the city's not gonna be selling it to a private owner? But yeah, so you, all of that, but if you like, if there's something you wanted to do outside that didn't really involve the building, like we talked about grading away from the building or something to that effect, that doesn't necessarily have to be in that grant, or you could
Okay.
piece it off, you could say, I just wanna do the exterior of the building or something. You know,
Okay.
you can do it in phases, you can call it different things.
So that actually seems like that would make sense to me,
Yeah.
that we can come up with a game plan that we all agree upon, that we could go ahead and do the groundwork separately from the building, right?
I would-
Let's just
yeah.
hire you tomorrow and then we're all good.
I went.
Yeah.
And this is just,
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow I have to, oh my
It's
God.
a no-brainer.
I just met. tonight.
Yeah, I know, I agree. I mean, it's a total no-brainer to me, but yeah.
so this just would be for the outside of the building?
You can do interior work too, you can do both. You can do both, you can do whatever you set aside to say that you wanna do. Looking at Steve's list, I think it's mostly exterior. right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
that's all we've asked him about, but if we got to a
Yeah.
restoration architect, would like.
Yeah, we going, yeah, I mean,
I think the most interior that I remember was working on insulation, so just be in the wall spaces.
Yeah, that's-
Right, we haven't. No,
you haven't really thought about it, right?
yeah, right, we
I
just,
mean, so that's,
this all started with just, well, we need a new coat of paint.
right, that's right. Can we all get our scrapers out?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
so,
Did you have a question, Tim?
Yeah, yes, Susan, just, I'm just thinking this through a little bit. In your experience, would it be helpful for us to think about doing the groundwork first, or would it be better to wait and do it as a full package?
that's a great question. So just coming back to the Cascadilla Boat House, because it was kind of the latest one we did, it's somewhat similar. We added some landscaping to it, that we had done some new ADA compliant ramps to go to the restrooms and stuff, so we had done some landscaping. But there was a bunch of people, not the city, but other people who are working on the project are like, oh, we really have to do the shoreline and the, the slip for the boats. And I'm like, whoa, the money only goes so far. So you really kind of have to think about what your costs are.
Hmm.
And you're not gonna wanna do plantings, and you don't wanna do any parging on I would not touch the building itself. But like if you were doing grading or, there's little pieces of it that you're gonna have to do, but you also might have to dig up, do a tiny bit of archaeology. I'll find out from the state about that, just because you're taking money and they wanna make sure
Mhm.
you're not you're not have an ancient burial ground underneath the building or something, they gotta know.
And I was thinking like if we were to consider, let's say gutter work. Gutter work is drainage work,
Yeah.
and so would it make sense even?
Did you say
to-
gutter?
Gutter,
On this building?
well, yeah, just hypothetically, but
Yeah,
I was just thinking,
yeah.
would we really wanna do drainage work before we decided whether or not to do
I
gutter
know,
work?
yes, yeah.
No.
right, no,
No,
I wouldn't,
yeah.
I would not, no,
Right.
I would not.
I mean, and you mentioned parging, so that makes me kind of veer towards hands off more like.
She said, don't touch the building.
Right, and so, and we were talking before, like we would excavate around the perimeter and parch, that's it, right, so. That,
That's touching the building.
Yeah.
yeah,
We just bring in dirt, grit, kind of thing.
You could grade and then get rid of it.
Yeah, and if we, in a couple of years, if we have to do something different, well. But we probably wouldn't.
okay,
Well, if we're all in agreement that like moving forward with this seems like a
Yeah.
thing we wanna do, then I think we should just like talk
Yeah.
about it at the next, have the resolution, be ready to go.
And we'll follow your advice.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We will not
I-
be
I don't
touching the
know
building in the next 2 weeks, I promise you.
I didn't think that.
We will not be touching the building in the
I
next
know,
2
it's
weeks.
true, yeah.
that's right,
Although on a day like today, it's tempting, isn't it?
That's right.
yeah,
It's very
Yeah.
tempting. But, yeah, and again, you could just pick out and say, you just wanted to work on the wood and this and that. They're gonna look at everything, and when you start working on a building, other things start to come up.
Yeah,
You know,
One thing deserves another.
yeah, we have
Just like
that a lot.
home projects.
a number of old buildings, or
Pardon?
a number of old houses.
You do,
here.
yeah.
I'm sure
We know-
that you
we know
start
that.
with that one thing and then you find something's rotted.
Oh, yeah, or you just open up.
It's all
something
connected.
like-
Great, well, this is really helpful. It's
Okay.
been Really,
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. Thanks for doing what you're doing.
yeah,
Appreciate it. All right.
we're really grateful for you offering your assistance.
Thank
It's
you.
big help, so.
Yeah, I like projects. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great,
That's great news.
yeah.
Great news.
Well, that's great. Really exciting.
Yes, it is. So let's see. With that, let me find my agenda somewhere under this file.
Discussion of town COVID policy.
Well, we have the two
actually,
resolutions.
well, I'm gonna
Okay.
back up here to offer a resolution of appreciation to Karen Scott.
Yeah,
For her dedicated services, as town's representative to the Tompkins County Recreational Partnership and the Joint Youth Commission. I will read the resolution where Karen Scott has ably served as the town's representative to the Tompkins County Recreational Partnership and Joint Youth Commission for the past 6 years with commitment to youth programming or youth programs, and whereas Karen is stepping down because of other commitments, therefore be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board extends its sincere appreciation to Karen for her superb service to the youth of Caroline.
here.
So need a second.
I do need
I'll
one,
second.
seconded by Tim, and I really do appreciate everything that Karen has done for us, and so we are, if anybody knows someone who could actually use a couple people as representatives on each of these. Karen's son Titus is a representative on the Joint Youth Commission, but we could use more. So put your feelers out, and we can send out a town announcement or whatever, but I think it usually is better, reaching out to friends and colleagues that might feel like, and it's their monthly meetings to
Knowing Karen, I'm sure she would also be willing to
talk about it.
talk about it with whoever comes in.
Yeah. So, great. So with that, if there's any further discussion, I'll call for a vote. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you so much, Karen. So,
Who's gonna tell her?
say what?
Who's gonna tell Karen? Karen, who's gonna tell Karen?
Does she get a
Karen,
letter?
who's gonna tell Karen?
Yeah.
Does she get a letter or something? How
She get a
does it
letter?
work?
Yeah, I could send her a letter.
Yeah.
I'll send her a letter.
Yeah.
Send her a certified resolution.
What's that?
We can send her a
Yeah.
certified resolution.
Yeah, we'll make a certified resolution and send her a letter with it. Yeah.
Good idea, Jenny.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. All right, so I will offer a resolution authorizing myself to sign an agreement with Tompkins County for the Tompkins County Community Recovery Fund Award.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Kate. Okay, so so this, I do want to, I'll read through a few of the so with the proposal that was submitted for this grant, we were awarded $132,333 from the Tompkins County Community Recovery Fund. And the proposal was to develop for Hunt Engineering to develop a proposal for municipal broadband build out in Caroline, and to actually do some build out, a partial build out from Yellow Barn Road to Sladeville Springs. And so the total cost in that proposal is $583,050. And so the county, the idea behind this grant award is that the town would dedicate its ARPA funds as well towards this project. And also, as Kate has explained before, the idea is to getting this plan into place will put us in a good stead for applying for funds to complete the project. So this won't do the whole project. And so, so I just wanted
We'll take a big bite out of it, so.
yeah,
Good.
but I just want people to understand, you know, this is a commitment of our ARPA funds.
All of the ARPA funds.
In this direction,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the most important thing.
so,
I mean, the only thing I would add is like, just to clarify that it's like the totality, it doesn't change it substantively, but just to
oh, good.
say that it's like the total amount of the ARPA funds.
What it is.
Maybe like resolve the Caroline Town Board commits its ARPA fund. I mean, I guess it's clear.
No, that's
enough.
yeah,
Just that it's like, this is all of it. It's all going to broadband.
yeah, so,
There's nothing
oh,
left.
so the second to last resolve,
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
yeah, because that's our total ARPA funds, right?
Correct. That's correct.
So I just don't know if there should be a separate communication of like, the ARPA funds are going towards broadband.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's saying.
No, I know, it's clear enough.
But just so that it clarifies that these are all of our ARPA funds, or?
That like, this is the resolution, because we've been talking for a while about like, what are we as a town gonna do with the ARPA funds?
Right,
And this effectively is like
This is
making
what
that
it is.
decision, this is what it
Yeah.
is, but it's not framed as. We have decided what we're doing with the ARPA funds and it's going to broadband, this
I
is
thought we
like,
decided that a few months ago.
no, we did, but it doesn't matter, it's clear.
so one thing we could
You
do,
know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna offer a proposal
Okay.
to simplify the title. To say, just say resolution committing the town of Caroline's ARPA funds to development and partial construction of a municipal broadband.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
totally, yeah,
Would that be cool?
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and we know that those funds are secure, and it isn't, they aren't gonna change it on us one way or the other.
So they're in the bank. We already got it.
Okay, they're in the bank.
We are in receipt of them.
And since you brought this up, I mean, and because maybe
Got this bit.
some members of the public didn't hear our conversations about this,
Okay.
Right.
really
that's-
in the past year.
Yeah,
That one of the reasons that we decided to use all of the ARPA funds for broadband was partially because broadband reaches the greatest and most needy segment of the population. The push out of the broadband. It services families in need of broadband for school. It's good for small businesses and home businesses.
the number one thing we're hearing about from the
Yeah.
public
Yes.
for everything at all times.
And we had considered some other, breaking it up into other alternatives until we learned that to do so would be hugely administratively expensive. So this was a win-win across the board.
Okay, but that's not an insertion into the resolution.
No. it's
No.
a-
Just making it clear that this
This
is
is a
like,
clarification. Couple
to
of things.
Why
celebrate.
why it's moving forward the way it is, so.
Jesse, did you get the gist of what I articulated for the title? No, I'm asking because I just jotted something down.
Committing Town of Caroline's ARPA funds to develop partial build out of broadband.
And I would say, and to develop and plan. Or to develop.
Well, it could say the same title, you're just inserting. Authorizing supervisor,
Oh, yeah,
Sign agreement, blah, 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 and.
just take out that first, but yeah,
You know, partial is,
how partial. Oh,
You mean partial build up?
partial build out,
Oh,
basically, you know,
yeah, I'm trying to remember. So they were looking at the Yellow Barn Station.
yeah.
They not built yet. They thought they could get most of Slaterville. I'm trying to remember the kind of the map they had.
well, this
So
is
what
yellow
we
barn,
would do is we would put a pop, when president's here, like in the town hall. And then it's like a 3 to 5 radius from here.
Okay,
So that covered a lot. It's the first step. It's gotta continue, obviously. But,
but it's hitting the higher population.
it's hitting the higher populations. I mean, the biggest, I mean, what we need the higher populations to buy in, so Dryden does, so that we can, reach out to the ones that are dead end way out there, you know, or, you know, in, 2 houses on the road.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. And Dryden's happy that, the more people, yeah, they've taken out a lot, it's huge, money
Yeah,
for that, huh?
still working on making sure we're happy with this title.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't want to leave that undone, so
I think it was great what you said.
Yeah. What did you say?
see, resolution to. Resolution committing. The town's ARPA funds
Okay.
to support municipal broadband planning and build out.
Yep.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Resolution committee of the town's ARPA funds to support municipal broadband planning and build out. Okay. I have enough scribbled down here and I think Jesse's got it too.
I got
So, great. Okay. So the resolution is amended by joint mutual edit and friendly amendment with that title. Any other comments and people comfortable with this major
Yeah.
development? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. That was a big step.
Huge step.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thanks. Thanks, Dave. All right, so with that, I will. Great. Have I covered all of this, the resolutions in the agenda, except for the bill paying and transfers and stuff like that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll offer a transfer resolution to transfer $2,820 from A 1990.4 contingency to A 1910.4 insurance. Second by Tim. Discussion? And call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. Thank you. And I will offer a bill payment resolution. Resolve the Caroline Town Board approves payment for vouchers in each fund totaling A fund $40,652.46, DA fund $83,129.15, streetlight fund $1,494.28, and SF fund or the fire fund $78,090 for Caroline Fire Protection.
Second.
seconded by Catherine, and
And I
any
will sign
questions?
vouchers
No,
at some point very soon.
no question, so, all in favor? Aye.
You're supposed to do it, yeah, if you do it,
Okay, thanks. Okay,
I need to not have a job to have this job.
we all feel that way.
Did anybody have a chance? Is everyone good with the minutes?
Yes.
so we have, both the, two sets of minutes to consider, January 18th and February 1st, right?
Good.
Any, are we, so if there are no comments, then.
Now
you.
tonight's.
So those, the minutes of January 18th and February 1st are hereby approved. Thank you, Jesse. That's great. And I will, I will after each meeting, call for thoughts, for the next meeting, or if you have things, you know, think of things, let me know. I have two things that I want to put forward.
We're talking about next meeting now?
At the March 1 meeting,
So are we moving COVID policy to that meeting then?
pardon me?
Are we moving the COVID policy to that meeting?
Oh, wait, no, thank you.
I mean, it's fine with me to do it. We move it.
I think we should move it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have it in front of us, I don't think. do we?
Yeah, we don't.
No, it was just a discussion.
Yeah.
I'm clear on what I.
I need,
Proposal, though, right?
pardon me?
You have proposal?
Well, I had proposed to, and we are effectively is, while we do nothing, we're. So, the
What we have
president
is
is,
in effect.
what's that?
What we currently have is in effect until or unless we change it. right?
Yeah, we currently have a
Right.
policy, so I think we're fine. So let's discuss it. The president is ending the coronavirus emergency. I believe that's gonna be May 11th. And so it occurs to me that maybe that's just a natural
Mhm,
endpoint, and we don't really have to make too much of a fuss about this.
Mhm.
The mask mandate for healthcare places was
Right,
for
Over
the
as of Sunday.
statewide, but not locally.
Well,
But
it's,
pretty much
it's
nowhere.
per,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
yeah,
spent all my morning talking about this in my
Okay.
healthcare setting. so
Okay.
I can tell you all about it. Yeah, it's
Wishful
up,
thinking.
So that's,
yeah, it's up to local municipalities. The Tompkins County does not currently qualify as a low transmission
Right.
area
No.
anyway, so at this point, so
at this
that
point, it doesn't
there's
Right.
no.
make any
so
difference, but,
anyway, we'll discuss it in March, but I think we're in
okay.
okay shape.
So you're thinking if we just let it go and then just
It's
adopt it,
done.
just ended it?
That's my
Yeah,
proposal.
okay,
I think
okay.
that makes a ton of sense.
all right,
I think that makes a ton of sense. So,
Unless it totally changes.
right, unless something
Correct.
changes, right? Well, it's always like that.
so for the next meeting, I would like to introduce the, another local law. So Will Lawrence has, I think yesterday, I'll forward it to you, the battery energy storage local law. So I will forward that to you and tomorrow.
Okay.
And so then it'll be on your desks and I'll introduce it at the March 1 meeting. And we should move forward with that. If they've been working on that a long time, and
Mhm.
so we should see if we have any questions, but it's been thoroughly reviewed by some very detailed thinkers, so. And then the other thing I would like to do is invite the representative from Green Spot Charging to join us. Just to, I've contacted I think he's supervisor in East Aurora, New York. 6 months ago, they converted from Green Spot, from Charge Point to Green Spot. He's very happy with it. He was very unhappy with Charge Point. He had
I'm
the
also
same
very unhappy with
experiences that
Charge
we've
Point.
had. And I won't tell you exactly what he said, but but it was validating. It was very validating, and my municipal colleagues here have expressed some of the same concerns. So it's not just our experience or me or anything. And so I'm also going to invite everybody I know to come join the meeting remotely. My other supervisors here in Tapas County, if they wanted to join in, so. The only thing we really lose is the ability to set pricing. The fellow in East Aurora said their usage did go down because the pricing's gone up a little bit, but it's still reasonable. I followed up with this guy, Joe from Green Spot, and he said, yeah, they typically charge about 25 cents above the cost of electricity, so it'd be 41 cents
Okay.
a kilowatt hour. We're trying to charge 30 cents a kilowatt hour. 41 cents is still reasonable.
Is there a, so some places, gas station, actually then that's the Dunkin' Donuts, have a fast charger. And there's like a $10 initiation fee. And then there's your fee per kilowatt hour. But if it clicks off, you have to start it again. You could charge $10 again. I got hammered with that.
You found out.
I did find that out, and I was kind of stuck with those, this was, past Alfred, New York, I had to go, and
Well, any details like
it's
this,
just like,
you could line up. to ask
Okay.
Joe, I can't answer these
I
questions.
mean, that was the level 3 charges, we're staying with level 2.
It's not level 3.
Yeah.
These are, they'll be just like the one that's here, level 2
Okay.
2 port.
Mhm.
And Teslas are that they can put a converter on theirs and use those, but it won't be a level 3.
Okay,
There's no way, this is a question for him, I understand, but there's no way to get a level 3, right?
I don't know why.
Well, level 2 doesn't, I mean, you have to,
Level 3 is.
it doesn't really do anything for someone who's actually a commuter. I mean, if you're here for
Right.
over an hour, maybe it's, I mean, actually driving, it doesn't help anyone driving through our town,
A level 3.
a level
no,
2.
level 2, so.
Oh, I see what you're
Like if
saying.
I'm looking for
Yeah.
my own car on a drive, level 2 is like, is useless, really.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going, how do I say it?
We could discuss that.
So. I mean, I never use a level 2 charger because I have one at my house. So I plug in my car overnight and I got 150 miles on it, right? But if I want to go, say, to, I don't know, Alfred, I have to find a level 3 charger unless I want to sit someplace for 4 or 5 hours, right? To get.
Sure,
so
I understand.
That's the thing, so
I
it's
understand.
like,
So we'll talk about it with him.
yeah,
Yeah,
we can talk.
yeah, so, yeah.
But they're expensive.
Totally understood. And for a place like this, that probably would make sense.
There is not a level 3 charger in Ithaca.
Really?
Yep.
What are the,
Level 3, I mean, it's really an interesting
You gotta have
conversation.
some serious use to the charging
Yeah.
station.
We're dealing with it as a municipality, it's really like level 2
the
doesn't,
Tesla chargers aren't automatically?
I
level
can't
3?
use a Tesla charger.
What's that?
I can't use a Tesla charger.
Right, but those are level 3, maybe.
No.
they're level Tesla.
They're level Tesla.
I see.
It's a mystery to me because I never use them.
Okay,
But
so those are two things that I want to.
I mean, I'm obviously very pro having a charging station, but it just seems like I'd be curious what the market, I mean, what is our demographic of
Yeah,
people
that's a
who
great
use that?
question.
Because it doesn't,
Yeah, it's used, I mean, it's lightly used. It's used by. A couple, it's used by someone who comes to the history club when they come here.
okay,
But in 5 years,
yes,
it'll be heavily used.
Mm-hmm.
right, but not if it's a
I doubt
level 2. I'm saying it's like,
So
it would be one thing if like, if we were to, if we're just a conception, we don't have to talk about this now, but we could talk about it with him.
I think this is a great conversation
Okay.
with Joe. And the
Yeah.
great thing about this is it's them, not us.
Right, I'm saying, like, if we're gonna be
So-
charging, for example, we should put chargers in the parking lot where people park for TCATs. They can actually like park,
And
charge their car and get on the bus.
They could do that there, where we had it.
Yeah, they could.
That's quite convenient to
Okay.
the TCAT bus
I
stop.
guess that's the question is what's the use?
Well, yeah, but you can't leave,
Are you allowed to leave a
you
car?
can't
there?
leave a car parked in after
There's no
your car's
limit.
done
You can
charging.
leave it right there.
But if usage goes up.
And we only have one charge. I'm just saying we should plan for
For the
this.
future.
So some
Right.
chargers,
Those are all good questions.
once your car is done charging, right, it'll turn off. But if you don't unplug that charger, you start getting charged.
Right, there are all
Because
kinds
you've
of
got all the
options
convenience
that I was able to, could
It
have,
gets very complicated.
I could have designed this to do all kinds of things like that. So we just didn't do that.
Okay.
You can do that with Charge One,
Um,
but that's, yeah,
I mean, I do,
and you can start, putting a
I
hefty
talked-
fee after
yeah.
3 hours so that people have to move their cars.
you know, when I've asked, it is the Tompkins County Transportation Council, like, why don't we have a level 3 charger somewhere in Ithaca? The answer is, well, we're looking into it, and, you know, it will be such a drain on the electric grid to have lots of those chargers, and I'm thinking, well, just one, you know, for people driving through so they can get another 100 miles. before they
Yeah.
have to charge
So,
it. It's my EV.
yeah. I mean, yeah, could be a long discussion, because,
Yeah.
I mean, most of the charging, like you said, is done at home.
Right.
So when I'm out and about, it's just sort of ancillary charging I do.
Yeah.
If there's a charger there, it's really nice, but so maybe that's part of the reason, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, all good questions, it'd be good to talk to Joe about this, and we can ask them if they can do level 3.
It's free at the fire hall at Burdett.
Any other thoughts for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, okay,
Just
technically the agenda meeting, but,
Right.
that'll be good, so, great. So without further ado, I
I
guess,
would like to ask us to come into executive session to discuss a legal matter,
no? Oh,
right?
oh,
Yeah, I think so.
okay, I guess,
What do you think?
yeah, I guess, okay, yeah, guess that's fine. I'll offer a resolution to enter executive session to discuss a legal matter. Sure. Do I have a second?
Second,
I'll second it.
A second by Kate, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.